you rightfully said. Probably going to see the Jax as well, considering how well Bin was able to deal in that last game with it. So wait to see where they want to bring this out. One, the Viego going to be banned away. I like this from the side of LNG. Wei was much more comfortable on the Viego than he was the Lee Sin. And then the last ban was probably be either something like the Jarvan or maybe even the Volibear itself.
Yeah, I think Jarvan makes a lot of sense. RNG could actually technically go Trundle, right? We haven't seen any Xin Zhao left yet this series, but the Trundle does pretty well into both Xin Zhao because, you know, can match him early in terms of skirmishing, but also you can ult LEona and steal all resistances, which is pretty nice too. They're banning the Camille, so not the Jax. Maybe more concerned about that joining team fights. And remember, Galio is still open available, so Camille Galio would be so scary from LNG. And honestly, prime for them to set up. I think LNG actually not going to ban the Jarvan, going to ban the Lee Sin instead. So if there's something that RNG desperately want in the mid lane, they can take that now. Otherwise, I think you could just pick up a jungler. And I do think that Jarvan could make a lot of sense. But again, Volibear's open available. There's a lot of options here. And maybe they want to keep the flex of the Gwen alive, right? Because it can go into the jungle.
Yeah, they could look just to pick up the top laner here. Give the flex to RNG. See where they want to go for here. They're actually going to go for the Olaf. So way back on the Olaf. This is a bit of a callback for him. Something that hasn't seen a lot of priority, but has been a very staple pick for Wei in his, in his very short career so far. He has been very proficient on this champion, and it was something that they very heavily relied on last year.
Yeah, really good into LEona as well. Ignores STC. The Jinx as well. The traps have no effect on this Olaf and can match the Xin Zhao in the early game. They are going to go for the Akali. I expect this is probably top. It is a good matchup into the Gwen. And just to confirm it, they are toying with the idea of an Orianna in the mid lane. Good at contesting that priority and also scales pretty well. That shielding won't be a miss on anyone on the side of LNG, so they will commit to that. Pretty strong mid jungle again, but also solid lane matchups in the solo lanes. See what RNG want to go for on the mid. If you have an Olaf, you want something that can lean and assist him. So you want something that can contest that priority. It looks like they might go for the Vex. Xiaohu had a monster Vex performance earlier in the season. See if you can bring it out again.
Will indeed. It will be something that has become a staple for RNG. The Vex pick has been something they have gone to many, many times. It is becoming a little bit of a fringe kind of pocket pick for Xiaohu in that mid lane. Does offer an awful lot of mobility and of course a lot of control as well with that fear. And we saw with Doinb, if you're able to get into a position where you can get a multi-man fear, it can be devastating for the enemy teams. So we'll see now with both teams locked and loaded. Very skirmish heavy team fights coming out here from RNG, and similar for LNG, it's looking like it's going to be very much about getting onto the back line and trying to leading one of these carries before they can have a bigger impact.
I feel like LNG have this great, like, Orianna Jinx is just so good in the back line. And I feel like they'll sort of curve out pretty nicely in the later stages, right? Orianna really strong, Jinx really strong. Xin Zhao serves very well in the later stages. I think they're very comfortable taking those team fights later on. RNG, I'm not saying they aren't, but they kind of need Vex and Olaf to be strong. They are now the ones who have that mid jungle, we said, where you need to get ahead. But their dive potential very threatening, right? Gwen, Olaf, Vex running at your back line is going to make things a little bit painful. It will come down to execution though. So RNG, I really want to see them hit the ground running with this composition. I think you have a bit of a rough lane match up top and you need your Olaf X to get ahead. If they don't, LNG, I think they have an easier time in the late game, but there is still always that big backline dive potential in their pocket.
Well, this is going to be the last game of the day. RNG looking to break the win streak of LNG to send them to 7-1 and also bring themselves up to 7 wins, whereas LNG, they want to keep it alive. This is their first major test of this team. They want to solidify themselves as championship contenders. It had one massive stomp game 1, a much closer game 2, and I'm just hoping that game 3 delivers in all the hype and glory that we expect it to. We are jumping out onto the Rift. LNG, RNG, and again we look towards this mid lane. Xiaohu and Doinb on two very pivotal, very powerful champions, and how they're going to be able to impact the rest of the map, as we see. Olaf and Bin just taking a little bit of a trade. It is always going to go in favor of the Gwen because level 1, the Akali doesn't really do a lot.
The amount of times I've seen Akali just walk in a lane and just throw the shroud down and just standing it and soak XP. Akali is so useless level 1, and Gwen pretty strong at that point. Both top laners have Ignite, and I expect after a bit of time, Olaf will find momentum in that matchup. People do pick the Akali into the Gwen specifically because it is a favorable matchup. So Bin may struggle with that later on. Now, RNG potentially looking for an invade here. 4-man strong. I like this, right? You have the Nautilus, you have the Olaf in particular, very good at those, and then they get spotted on a ward and back off. So, you know, very short-lived.
I mean, the idea was there. We do like it. But again, the one thing we can't talk about with the Olaf, I will say it is Wei's most played champion in his career. He has got 38 games on it with 24 wins and 14 losses. So is still very proficient on this pick. But the Olaf is great because it does allow you to get priority in the lanes. You don't have to try and deal with the early leashing. It also is able to sustain itself very, very easily throughout the game. And in the early stages against the Xin Zhao will sort of struggle to deal with a lot of what Olaf throws in front of him.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about that level 1, right? Let's just getting bullied out here. Does have the Torrent Shield and second win, so won't be in too much trouble. But yeah, jungle is where we're really watching. Tarzan obviously stellar game 1, game 2 a bit more subdued. And you don't want to run into the Olaf, especially if you face check the Olaf and he gets that first cleaver off, can put you in a really painful spot. So now Xiaohu's applying quite a bit of pressure in the mid lane, but Doinb definitely answering, and the wave's pretty neutral as of now.
Where do you want to see LNG and RNG attack? Obviously, we know that the Xin Zhao and the Olaf can do an awful lot in the early stages, but where are they going to do it? Where do you see these teams getting themselves into an advantage and making these picks worth it?
I think bot's a pretty good one, right? Because the lane is longer for RNG, so very easy if you get the Olaf in to chase them down. I feel like top lane's a bit harder because both top laners are a bit hard to pin down. Especially Akali is a bit of a pain to gank, which is why she has been so serviceable in the top lane. So probably there, I think it's more like spotting opportunities where waves are overextended. But I also think you can just, as the Olaf, if you get back up from your team, just charge in the enemy jungle and look for a fight with the Xin Zhao.
Again, this power of the Gwen. Yes, the Akali will be able to do a lot in terms of mitigating it in the later stages, but it does become a little bit more difficult in the early few levels. Of course, the Gwen will just have that priority. Bot lane, I actually just want to make a quick mention. We are not going to have Glacial Augment for these supports. It is going to be double Aftershock, so both of them very tanky in the early stages. Now we'll see now where both teams want to try and get themselves. And it's still a 2-camp lead here for Wei, as he'll get himself off on his reset. But that is, again, to be expected. The Olaf, very powerful in these early stages. It's honestly, I like this from Wei as well. It's confident from him, saying that he wants to try and go to the toe. He wants to try and make sure that he's the one making the advantage for his team against someone like Tarzan. It's a big ask.
And he's a bit ahead in terms of pace. I mean, he will clear faster. He will be able to challenge Tarzan, but Tarzan hasn't done his Krugs yet, so Wei able to pull out. There's a CS advantage. Backs and gets 2 ruby crystals, so very bulky at this point. Very hard to deal with. And now heading towards his bot side scuttle. Tarzan just able to sneak it away though before he gets there. And will end up being even in the scuttle trade, but Tarzan's still level 3 now. Bin keep finding a pretty good trade on Arle once again.
I was going to say, yes, he gets the scuttle, that's great for Tarzan, but then knowing that in topside, Bin goes, cool, I know where everyone is on this map. They're all bot side, I can go aggressive. I don't have to worry about a lurking Xin Zhao off to the side. So now, good moves here from RNG to try and maybe set themselves up in this bot side, but they are just kind of holding the wave and keeping LvMao away, taking away from this ward, as I say that. They're looking to maybe push this one in. They're going to go back in with the Zenith Blade as Ming gets taken very, very quickly down. They flash in and try and get on top of Tarzan, who flashes away. LvMao, though, and Light doing so much to keep Wei from top of themselves, and there's nowhere for him to go. Oh, it's a disaster for RNG, but elation for LNG. 2 quick kills on the bot side.
Absolutely shoot him. Now Bin might actually try and dive the Akali.
He gets him, I think. Yeah, one more snip and he got some. He's dead. The night is still ticking, but not enough because you've got the needlework for the healing. He'll be able to push out this wave as well. Wei not quite able to make it on bot side, but Bin makes up for it in top.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, a mistake from Arle, right? I said later on this lane really goes in favor of the Akali. Arle has been a bit underwhelming in the laning phase so far this season. Once again, another mistake punished, but we'll see that bot lane play. And I want to praise LvMao here. So, critically what happens is Ming goes in, Aftershock proc, doesn't get the auto, right? And then they re-engage. No Aftershock to the Nautilus, very squishy, gets taken down extremely fast. And then Wei doesn't end up connecting on an axe coming up here. This one just misses, and the W is back up for LvMao. So once again, too tanky to take down, and they're able to deliver on the kill. Just good execution, good play around the Nautilus Aftershock to abuse the squishiness when he doesn't have a cooldown on top. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. Shouldn't be happening. You should not be getting 1v1 dove by a Gwen at this point of the game.
And that's a kill over. It's a CS lead as well to Bin, and level 6 just about hit there for Olaf. So he should be able to keep himself safe relative to how this matchup goes. But you can see now both these top laners recognizing that whoever gets themselves a decent trade can just turn this one on a complete pivot and a knife. Wei is going to walk over a ward in about 2 seconds. Is now gets himself up towards his top side. This could be an opportunity here for RNG if they really want to try and get it. But Ala, wise to their tricks, backs himself away. But still, great start into this game for LNG, and it's going to be very difficult now for this bot side. We talked about it before. LNG's light has been a massive shining light for the side of LNG, and RNG need to try and stop him from taking over this game.
Especially on the Jinx now. We are finally seeing RNG making a move up towards the top side. I think Ole is just... goodbye.
I don't know if he's dead or not yet. He will go straight in, but he gets feared out of the Shroud. He goes straight in, though, with the Shadow Surge. One last auto attack should do it. Xiaohu picks up that kill. Nice roaming out. And this is what we normally see from LNG, but Doinb not able to do it himself.
Yeah, and he tried as much as he could, used everything to get out, but no flash, and with them kind of behind you, very hard to escape. Now, we will see that bot side lean coming out from LNG to respond on either side, but I like the proactivity, right? This is why you want the Vex Olaf very strong on those dirty skirmishes, good at leaning on the side, and this is what we needed to see. Orianna is going to be really strong in the later stages. Zhao definitely outskills an Olaf, right? Just by having your ultimate and standing there, you are inherently valuable, even if you're behind. And so I needed to see RNG get ahead on their mid jungle. Obviously, Wei made that mistake, but now they're putting Olaf further behind. If you get a Gwen fed, then I feel like all bets are off, because that champion is a little bit bonkers.
A little bit busted. 20 CS. Not only that, it's a full level for the Gwen over the Akali. And those little item spikes, those little level spikes can mean a world of a difference, especially when you're hitting the level 9, 10, and 11 part, where you're getting the max stacks into your Qs or your Ws or anything, whatever way you want to build your champion. And these can be the difference makers as we come in now to 8 minutes into the game. LvMao just checking to see if anybody was sitting around onto this Rift Tower. Not going to find anything, but it is LNG first onto the scene. And they have rotated their top lane or their bot lane up towards that top as well. So it's going to be a trade of sides. The bot lane is going to be taken for the Dragon. This is very disorientating because I feel like they should be on either side. It should be a Rift Tower on the left. Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel really disorientating?
It's like backwards, yeah.
Yeah,
man.
it's very strange. But it's a trade of sides.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Dragon's going to give you more tools in the late stages. If you can stack Soul, you are obviously getting these plates as well. This is kind of the benefit, right? Gala's getting some free plates. So, you know, if LNG is only able to get 2 plates at the back of this Herald, I think RNG are pretty happy with this trade. But if they're able to take a full tower, if they find an opportunity, if they find a window, that's when things could go more in their favor. And we'll see where they get to end up using this Herald. We often see it thrown down mid, right? Just because you can get the tower down 2 plates and then the second Herald finishes it off. But really, I feel like using it as a side lane is often going to lead to getting a full tower more often. And particularly if you look bot, there's already only 3 plates left on that bot lane tier 1. So if Tarzan paths over, pretty easy pickup just to get that tower.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe way for them to go if they want to do it. It actually looks like Light is just going to freeze it off for the moment while there was a reset coming in from RNG. Gold pretty much dead even. A little bit of a CS lead here, or a gold lead for LNG as we can then maybe look towards this top side. Wei's just going to try and make this one work again. Zala in a little bit of trouble. Needs to be very, very careful where he goes with this one. Is going to have the perfect execution to keep himself safe, but the needlework doing so much. And now Ala, this Akali pick is seen as a good pick into the Gwen, but when you're this far behind in this matchup, you just can't go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, this isn't the pick, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, they're definitely making some mistakes here. It might actually get...
Oh, so close. Not quite able to catch him out.
Yeah, and we did see, as you're saying, Light build up a massive wave to stack up bot. So a lot of minions, a lot of denial in the bot lane. It will, though, be RNG getting the first tower. So a fair advantage, all things considered. When you get the Herald, you're really hoping to be the one who ends up getting the tower. Quickly, they have obviously eliminated a lot of minions, but Light will take that first tower, and they're hoping to get the second charge in the T2. Already Ming and Xiaohu are moving down to try and stop that, but I think they're already too late. They won't take the tier 2 tower. They should be able to defend that. Actually, I'm saying that. I think they might just get the tier 2 tower.
Yeah, I don't think there's much you can do here. It's a Jinx and it's in Zhao. You should be able to try and keep them all away from it. So they will be able to take tier 2. So big move there. But let's have a look quick at the gold leads, because it is about 1,500 in favor of Light over Gala. But on the top side, it is a 1,700 for the Gwen over the Akali. So you're starting to weigh up which is more important, which is more valuable. A fed Gwen. I have never seen a Gwen with Riftmaker at 11 minutes. I'm just going to put that out there right now. This is not generally seen as the moment for the item spike. And this is going to be a lot on Bin, I feel, to try and make up this disadvantage that Gala and Ming had to give up to Light and LvMao.
Yeah, and I think it's really going to come down to how the team fights play out, right? Because particularly, you know, if Light can be protected, can free hit from a distance, great. If Bin gets in range of Light, yeah. I mean, we saw last game what a Gwen can do to an AD carry who's locked in place when Gala got absolutely eviscerated, but will really come down to the execution on those points. For now, it's very clear that RNG for the resources on one side, LNG on another, but I do feel like the fact that LNG got that second tower, it has to put them 1,000 gold ahead. Obviously, the tier 2s in the side lane did see that change to give them a lot of extra gold, so quite a fair bit of value there. And now, both teams just picking up waves. Next objective on the map will be that dragon in a minute 45. It's honestly not too big of a priority, but I think LNG will be happy to pick it up and then stop RNG from being able to stack up their own, right? Really keep Soul a healthy distance away.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Keeping the Soul at arm's length and also mitigating any kind of, you know, big power spike for this Gwen, as we have gotten. It will be a decent Drake is what I'm trying to say here. It'll be Hex Drake, Soul, or a Mountain or Infernal. So you have got some pretty decent options here available to you. LNG are in the river, but they are very early to this objective, I would have to say. Wei now stealing away some camps, who will be spotted out on a ward and will clear it off almost immediately. So now they're going to try and make something happen here in mid lane. Xiaohu forced a flash away, and they have to use from the depths here from Ming. And that's just LNG recognizing with the Aphelios on bot side, they had the advantage, and there's no way for you to get out of this one here. Tarzan is not going to try and catch out Wei. They don't know exactly where he went, but could have been a bit risky there for RNG.
Yeah, Flashbang and the ult from Ming really stopped that, because I think Tarzan had actually connected. The Wind Become Lightning was just going to press E immediately after. They didn't stop that. So LNG gained a bit of an advantage. Been an ult, been a flash, and now they have control over mid. Should be able to lean this into the dragon. Well, they have priority in mid, sorry. Now coming off the reset, they should just be able to push in this dragon area and garner a bit of control. But you can see they are approaching it slowly. Actually, RNG able to get there to match, so it's like they're not even pushing in, right? Wei's able to get here. Although Ming has actually got a reset for vision, so they are going to be behind on tempo for this dragon. It's spawning in 10 seconds, and he is just reset now.
Yeah, I don't know if RNG are going to be in position to be able to contest this. They don't have flash on Xiaohu either, so the safety is not really there. Wei is walking on top of a ward. They are going to know he's there, and think now he realizes, okay, I got to leave. He's going to have to probably pop his ultimate. Yep, now without the Ragnarok, he's not going to be able to defend against this dragon. Will take his Gromp as a consolation prize. For the end of it all, good vision control. And like I said, that ward was so pivotal for LNG. It gave them full information of where the RNG jungler was going.
Yeah, and I think as well, Ming resetting quite late to get vision. Very important having wards available in pocket. RNG were behind a bit on timing, and as a result, they get punished. But now LNG commit members bot side, so RNG will lean towards the top side of the map, steal away this blue, and just force LNG out of their own jungle.
I want to try and give this one over to Xiaohu, but I feel like Bin's going to be the only one really to try and connect this one. 5-point strike might steal it away. It's going to be a little bit of a smite fight between the two top laners, and yeah, again, he has 5-point strike. You don't really have the same amount of burst as a Gwen, and nice secure of the blue buff there for LNG.
Yes, so the real consolation prize even for the side of RNG. Can't see the state of the game at the moment, so it is a big lead in the top lane for this Gwen, but levels have been evened out. Similarly, you know, there's no real massive level advantage in the bot lane, despite the fact that Light has a pretty big advantage. But in the jungle, Wei is 2 levels up on Tarzan, right? You also get a pretty significant CS advantage from the jungle, and as a result, this Olaf is a pretty big part of RNG's strength. Gold is about even. LNG going to start up this Herald. That looks like from the way RNG are fanning out, they're not even interested. They will commit to this bot lane tower. You can see that Gala is pushing the wave up there. Ming is moving down. They will simply let LNG take this second Herald. My concern is mid tower, right? That's often where teams will turn it towards. You can see Ping's already coming out. Tower is healthy, so I think RNG might be able to, I mean, at least defend the tier 2, but I think he might end up losing this tier 1 to the 3 members.
I don't know. You haven't got a huge wave to kind of follow up on top of this. You see the top laners going 1-for-1. The needlework does come out. Perfect execution has been used. And will it be a trade? It will. Solo bolo on both sides. And this is what we love to see in the top lane.
Yeah, and considering how far ahead Bin is, yeah, it kind of shows you this matchup is Akali favored. I know Bin missed that third needlework. It's very hard to hit. The mobility of the Akali, the time she can buy, once you commit your first ultimate charge, you can really just look to move around and outplay. So to see a replay of that one, remember, Ollie's a level down and a lot of gold down in this matchup, but just consistently lands the 5-point strike, lands the ult to dodge the first charge, uses his own shroud to dip away the other ones, and the burst damage so hard for the Gwen deal. It's still a 1-for-1, right? But again, you're this far ahead as a Gwen, you don't want to be trading 1-for-1.
No, you do not. And I will say if the last hit of the needlework does land, it probably does go in favor of the Gwen, but it should never really be that close. And that's why the Akali has been favored into this matchup. It is pretty much dead even across the gold in terms of the teams. A dragon apiece, 2 towers each. This is as close as we've had a game so far. We have serious amounts of expectations for these teams, and now the first items being picked up. We can have a look. You got the Luden's Tempest and the stopwatch here for Xiaohu. On the opposite number, you've got the Leandri's Torment here for Doinb, so he's going to be doing some pretty decent, consistent damage. Both AD carries working towards our second item. It looks like it's going to be the rapid fire cannon for light, and Gala looking towards that collector. So both teams now hovering. It's still a minute 30 or just a bit above it until that dragon spawns, and neither side willing to give an inch. They want to know that the other team will take a mile. I
like the early setup though from LNG, right? They're already moving all it down. Obviously, they have a lot of time because the top wave is pushed in, and now they're playing aggressive in the enemy jungle. Wei has to burn his ultimate, but Tarzan does too.
I mean, he's still going to go for it. Tarzan is a little bit overextended here if he's not careful, and will end up getting it. But yes, like you said, both junglers losing their ultimates. They should both be roughly back up before this dragon spawns, so neither losing much out in the trade. We will see now the Gwen pushing up in this top side, and now Bin will know that Allah is here and recognizes that neither of them wants to. See, I think the thing is with this matchup is whoever gets caught with the first bit of burst damage will lose.
Definitely can be a factor, but I still feel like, you know, there's outplay potential for the Akali. If you dodge away enough the needleworks, it can make a really big difference. Obviously has a bit more item parity now. It's still a lead for Bin, but close the gap somewhat now. We obviously saw that early investment from LNG to get there quickly, set up the vision. They've had to reset, get some more wards, spend some gold, and Ola is currently dealing with that top wave. So this is a window for RNG to push in and contest the control. It's 20 seconds till that dragon. It'd be second for either side. They don't have to commit to this, right? This dragon can just be given up. So LNG, if they feel like they can't make their way in, they can just push mid and take the tier 1. For now, they are trying to at least give the semblance contest, and they are moving towards mid, pushing up. And if anyone face checks, don't do it. Don't do it.
Look at the mini map. Look at the mini map. There's a ward there just behind the blue buff. They could TP into it if they want with the Akali. No, they're going to go towards the bottom side, and they're going to turn onto the Akali. There's going to be an immediate shroud early with the Shadow Surge, but they do end up getting the fear on top of them. Ala now in a little bit of trouble, has to back away. It's 5-man strong for both of these teams. It's not going to have the Shadow Surge on the reset. Watch the Orianna ball. That shockwave could be huge, and now you can see Wei going in. He's not going to get the steal. He's going to have to try and use his ultimate, as we can now get LvMao going way too deep. Has to go in. The Moonlight Vigil goes completely wide, and now Ala can wreak havoc. He's got himself resets. 1, 2, 3 kills there for the Akali before they get taken down. But the Gwen not to be outdone. The top laners triple, but it's still the Gwen alive. Bin trying to make this one work. The shockwave finally comes out, but it hits nothing. We talked about the mid laners, but this game is all about the top.
And I mean, yeah, that's it. After watching that fight, all I can think is top is broken, man. Honestly, Akali just shredded through RNG, but then Bin. Man, top lane is a dirty lane, and Gwen and Akali are both insane champions. It really felt like, though, RNG, a lot of skill shots missed in this situation. The first one, we already had the Shadow Surge on cooldown, missed away. Wei ends up committing heavily, but pulls LvMao in. We get the stopwatch, but then they don't have any cooldowns available, right? We see the ult from the Aphelios miss. Great dive in for the Akali. Shroud, so the auto from Ming never comes through. Decimates there, but then watch this from Bin, right? Shroud hits, the W comes down, they can't hit Bin, and just absolutely massacres.
just 4 people sitting inside of that needlework. It just keeps them alive. Not only that, just doing endless amounts of damage. It's triple kills for both top laners, Ala and Bin, putting in work in these fights. And now maybe we'll have a 1v1.
I'm so glad we don't have the top lane Janna smite meta at the moment.
I know, right? This is not what we want to go for, but it looks like Ala maybe have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. The TP's going to be coming in. Xiaohu does not get the fear off as they try and jump in onto Bin. Bin's needlework not really doing a lot of work as Xiaohu might be left to the dogs, and he's going to be taken and burnt apart. Shockwave comes in. Needlework, though. One, maybe goes for more as RNG are now collapsing. They've lost Xiaohu, but they've got themselves in a split fight. There's going to be the image of the bush as they get themselves a Scryer's Balloon. The Aphelios picks up 1-2. Very nicely done. This is why Gwen is busted.
Yeah, we were talking about the Fed Jinx against the Fed Gwen. My money's on the Fed Gwen at the moment, man. Bin is doing insane things. They just cannot deal with him right now. And even though the Akali had that great triple kill before, in those lower numbered skirmishes, they just can't have the damage to finish off this Akali. The healing is so insane. They will get that bot lane tier 2. A lot of gold going towards RNG. At 2,000 lead. The only real silver lining for LNG is that this happened on the bot side, so no Baron was available. But I mean, this is where it's annoying for Bin, right? Is that he ults, so then he can't cast ult again, really, because he can't hit Ala. But then Xiaohu comes in, they start to focus towards him, and then look at Bin just constantly stacking up the Conquest, stacking up the Riftmaker. This final ult does so much damage, and then he just heals, shreds everyone. And it's like, look how low they are, and then the clap comes through. RNG are there quicker, and yeah, not much you can do.
Not a lot you can do. I will say the length of time you can just hold that ult stack for, it's just ridiculous. He's there for a good like 5, 6, 7 seconds, and in my opinion, if I'm LNG, I'm like, oh, he's already used it. This fight's been going on for so long, but no, it ends up being clutch right at the end, lands it onto 3 people. Now he's got a Banshee's Veil, so already picking up more and more survivability in this fight. And this Gwen is starting to get out of control, Ox. This Gwen is becoming to a point where even the Akali matchup is not enough.
Dying, dude. I feel like this Gwen is. I mean, people have been pretty critical of Bin on this lineup, especially filling the shoes for Xiaohu. I feel like this is a game where really he is stepping up to the plate and delivering. 6, 1, and 3 so far. Up 40 CS, an absolute monster. And yeah, Ola can't handle him right now. The item differential, it's an item and a half to 3 for this Gwen.
And the thing is, you look at the 2 half items that Ala has, they're not even building into each other. Like, he's not going to build a Morellonomicon with a needlessly large. It's not how the item works. So he's already, you know, kind of voting himself further and further behind. But he needs that extra little bit of Grievous Wounds. He needs to be able to try and keep himself and his team just from not losing it. And I don't know why, but I feel like we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on who is able to get on top of Bin. Because if Bin's given free reign like he was in those last 2 fights, it can just be devastating, and same for Ala on the Akali.
Problem is, I feel like it's so difficult, right? He's got Merc Treads, he's got Banshees. It's hard to pin him down. It's only really the LEona, but he's got like a high amount of tenacity, and no one has, like, apart from the Jinx, and the Jinx can't really hit him. No one has that great sustained damage to cut through him. Oh,
no, on Doinb now. Shockwave going to be used. A Shadow Surge. Doinb knows he's dead. He's not even going to use. Actually, he doesn't even have a flash to use. They say that he's keeping himself safe and topped up just a little bit. The Crescent Guard knocks everyone away, and Wei is going to get taken out here. They're going to commit the TP. That's going to be the Gwen coming in on top of this, though. Is Xiaohu trying to find something. Here comes Bin. Running with scissors is not ideal, but it is okay when you're on this Gwen. He's going to run straight down as both junglers go down. They could maybe look to try and flip this at Baron.
Yeah, it's difficult though, right? You don't have your jungler. You have to start the fight and then turn it, and you kind of have to wait for Wei to be there. So this would be a very slow Baron if LNG off the contest.
It's not that slow at all.
No, I don't mean slow in taking it, but I mean slow if they're waiting for Wei, right? Because they don't want to flip this. They will have to take this slow.
Here we go. The TP coming in. LvMao is going to be the sole person here alongside Doinb, and they got the teleport out of Ala. That's what they wanted. The dragon is live, and now Ala is very powerful right now. He's going to be moving forward. He still has his perfect execution. The rest of LNG will back away. They don't lose the Baron. Like I said, it would have been a flip as both junglers were dead.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant when I was saying slow, as in they have to go take it slow, wait for Wei to arrive, smite it, because they wouldn't want to flip it. Just clear what I was trying to say, right?
It's very fair. I'm excited. I misinterpreted. I'm just very excited about how the game is playing out right now.
It's fine. I can explain better. But now the explanation, dragons up. This will be the 3rd for LNG. Wait, did he actually manage to steal that? No, he didn't. But his smite is on cooldown for a short amount of time. Look at Bin on this flank.
Oh, it's going to be the top laners again and again. We're seeing these guys go in on each other, but Gwen is immune. A hook lands right onto a prime target, and Doinb is now dead. No shockwave for this fight, and Olaf's completely separated. It's the 5v3, as you can see Tarzan doing his best, but it's not going to be enough. It's a 4-for-0 kill. RNG are slowly taking control.
Crush that fight again. Doinb getting caught out. They managed to jump on him, and then I love Bin's patience with the ultimate charges, right? Waits until all of Light's cooldowns are used, all his mobility, before firing that third one off and just absolutely decimates him. So a 3k gold lead, second dragon for RNG, and they are about to pick up this Baron. This one will be a fast one. No contest here. You have your jungler. You don't have to wait around.
Oh, it's slipping and slipping, and this is just, again, Bin saying, look, I'm on top of you now, and then look at this hook from Ming. He lands it on the perfect carry, the Orianna, no shockwave, no way to go.
Yeah, and the ult onto Light as well. And the thing is, LvMao nearly was in position to block, but wasn't quite. And then watch Bin saves the third ult right till after the flash. Goodbye.
RNG warming themselves into this series. We saw game one, LNG put down a beaten onto RNG. Again, no way to really else put it. LNG dismantled, decimated, whatever other kind of alliteration you want to throw in there, and they just look clean. Game 2, very close. RNG and LNG going tit for tat, punch for punch, as this mid lane turret is on 31 HP. Thank you very much, observers. But now in game 3, it feels like it's RNG. It feels like they're the ones going for it. And very, very soon, Bin is going to have a Rabadon's death cap. This Gwen is impossible to deal with. No one has magic resistance. It is Merc Treads on the Xin Zhao, and that's it.
I mean, even if they did, I don't think it matters. The amount of true damage the champion deals is just not balanced. And this could be it, right? 6,000 gold death. The Baron in favor of RNG. This Gwen is super strong. And if LNG lose this, that undefeated streak ends. We saw this in summer last year. 7-0 to start the split. Then they lost. Then things got a bit difficult, right? They still had a good playoff run, but their undefeated streak could end here and now. They need to find a way back in the game. They still have a lot of strong elements. Light on this Jinx, 3 items, still definitely a carry, but for now, RNG will charge forwards and start decimating these towers.
Yeah, they absolutely will. Just to give you an idea, it was a 7-game win streak that then led into a 5-game loss streak for the side of LNG. So they went from 7-0 to 7-5 all of a sudden towards the end of the split. And there were some questions about whether or not they'd make playoffs. I believe they ended with a 10-6 scoreline and 8th in the overall standings. So that's why they had the miracle run. They had to run the gauntlet because they had no other choice. And now with this Baron up for another minute, you got Bin escorting the wave in mid lane. He is going to back himself up. They weren't quite synced up perfectly on that, and 7,000 gold now for RNG. They're going to go back. Rabadon's death cap is going to be completed, and that's going to be Gwen. Oh, TPing back in. They're going to look to try and maybe go for something else.
You know, and this finally feels like the first time where Gala's been ahead of gold of Light. Feels like this entire series has been Light has been strong, and Gala, you know, he's a threat in his own right. Level 15 on this Aphelios, 3.5 items is pretty scary. They won't be able to push through the top lane, and that Baron is nearly timing out. So I think they'll take this opportunity to use the Baron recalls to reset, pick up some waves. Dragon in 2 minutes would be that third. And again, these resistances from a Mountain Dragon on a Gwen, right? You've already got the Banshees. You've already got a ton of MR. Probably going to build a Zhonya's last as well, plus a ton of armor. And for anyone, you know, if you didn't already know, her W also gives her a ton of resistances, because
really?
Why not? Yeah, so you can't hit her when you're outside of the W, and then if you're in it, she's super tanky. What a champion. What an ability.
What an incredibly balanced champion. And look, right now, LNG, you're playing with scraps. You have to just try and pick up these waves as they come in. You can't overextend too far, otherwise you may get collapsed upon and lose the game straight outright. It's not done and dusted 100% in RNG, but they are definitely in favor. You still have a shockwave, you still have a Jinx that with resets will do work, and most importantly, if Ala can get onto the back line and kill off the Vex or the Aphelios before anything can really happen, that's where LNG might find themselves back in this series.
That's where the potential is. If they can burst out Gala in particular, just have the Hex Drink, which makes it a bit trickier. Void Staff just complete Xiaohu. This Gwen, some of the game 2 hasn't been the most impactful, but it does make it difficult. If you dive into the back line, as does Akali, and, you know, Vex presses, sorry, Vex, not Gwen. This Vex has been a little bit underwhelming, like in game 2. If Vex presses W, when you're trying to dive in, it can easily shut you down. just make things hard. 7,500 gold lead. Already RNG are at the dragon. Personally, I think LNG just give this up, right? Okay, you're so far behind. It's only third dragon. I would probably just let this one go. But we'll see if they opt to feel the same way.
We'll wait and see. Quick look at some of the items. The Gwen is going to be building up towards that Zhonya's, so that's going to be the last item for them. You do have the Sterix and Gore Drinker here for the Olaf. You have 3 items now onto the Vex, like you just mentioned. Zhonya's for survivability, but also Void Staff and the Luden's Tempest for that massive amount of burst. So plenty of options here, and of course, to boot it all up, RNG have got themselves the 4-item nearly Aphelios. He's got himself the Gale Force, the IE and the Collector, and a couple of half items in there as well. But on the other side, there are no slouches. Yes, the Akali is still sitting on a couple of half items, but we'll have the Void Staff very, very soon. Alongside the same items that you have on the Olaf, you got on the Xin Zhao. And again, the Andres, Banshees, and the Seraph's Embrace here for Doinb on this Orianna, all topped off by the Rapid Fire Cannon, Lord Dominic's Guards, and Gale Force of the Jinx. So look, these teams are pretty well stocked, even if you are a little bit behind as LNG. I say a little bit, it's about 7,000 gold, but it doesn't mean you cannot come out of this.
Yeah, and I think at this point, you know, you have these strong carries. It really comes down to, if we see like a big burst play from Ola when he wants to kill Gala, or we see Doinb with a massive shockwave, there's still potential. It just definitely has gotten a lot harder, and I think particularly this Gwen, so frustrating to deal with. We've said time and time again. Now Baron is spawning at 30, and we can see RNG trying to set up around it, get control of the area. Meanwhile, Bin is just trying to be an annoying presence towards all on the bot side. I think this is the play for RNG, right? Sweep through this jungle, go deep, clear the vision out. If anyone steps up, that's when you have potential to go for things like a TP flank or a pick. 10 seconds of the Baron, but also look at the TP from Bin. Coming up pretty soon. Zhonya's just completed. This Gwen is so hard to kill right now. Doing so much damage. I think they're just going to do this on spawn, right?
Yeah, they've got the damage. There's no way you can really contest this if you're not in position for it. Yeah, look, they know it's going down, but it's gone. Done, dusted. RNG get themselves the Baron. We are at 33 minutes, or just a little bit underneath it. And LNG don't even get the trade-off which they wanted. They wanted to try and maybe take down that tier 1 in mid lane, open up the map a little bit more, but they just can't. They have to back away. They have to respect it. You cannot flip it over an objective that's not even worth it at this point.
Yeah, and the problem now is you don't have any towers outside of your base. RNG going to be looking to crack the base at this point. Pretty hard to stop it with just the cannon minions in the tower. They do have a good amount of wave kill. That is kind of the caveat here. That does give them an advantage. You can see they've spread out into a 1-3-1. You find a window to engage in an isolated target. That's where you can have a ton of value. And a big thing is the waves aren't really synced up yet. You can see, I think Xiaohu is trying to slowly push that one in, but it will. Actually, yeah, so mid and bot now synced up. This is where the pressure really comes in, because the LNG are split trying to defend here.
Here we go. You're going to have a lot of damage here from Xiaohu onto this turret. And you can see there just the Baron up cannon minions in mid as well.
Look at the tower, the little turret thing from the Aphelios.
Yeah, just shredded it. Oh my god.
Broken,
he just used one ability of his Gravitum on the Tarzan, and Tarzan has to go back to base. And now a second minion wave is coming in. The mid lane inhibitor has fallen. RNG, they are pushing all the right buttons. They are getting themselves to a point of which they might have found an opportunity. And in a 1v1, Bin says, I reign supreme. They get the solo, and now you gotta do it. You have to go for it now. You have no inhibitors, LNG. You need to find an opportunity.
This is going to be a tricky one, but it looks like RNG fishing for the engage. They're trying to defend the tower, but I feel like RNG, 3 inhibs down. You don't need to rush this, right? Time is on your side. Already mid, you can see a super minion wave coming in. Zhao's going to recall and TP back in to protect the wave. They're going for this now.
They're going to have to try and make this one work. RNG looking to end this game and end the streak. LNG will lose the LEona. They've lost their carries as well. It has been done. RNG will bring down the undefeated LNG and bring themselves up to 7 wins and 2.
They end this streak. It's a repeat of summer last year. LNG, 7 wins, but no more in a row. RNG had a rough game 1 loss. It was a stomp. It made them look so underwhelming, but they bounced back. A hard-fought game 2. But honestly, this game 3,